Welcome to Duo Reads.
Great to be here.
Today, we're embarking on, well, an extraordinary exploration into personal transformation, really getting into how you can achieve what you truly desire in life. Think of this as unlocking some really profound insights from a powerful collection of ideas, all designed to help you consciously shape your own reality.
That's exactly it. The material we've been looking at today, it offers this compelling framework, really, for understanding human behavior.
Right.
But more importantly, it provides practical, actionable strategies, things you can actually do to create real, lasting change. It's about empowering you, to shift from just being a creature of circumstance to becoming, well, an intentional architect of your own destiny.
And the author's own story really brings this home, doesn't it? I mean, imagine this. Going from being a janitor, driving a beat-up 1960 Volkswagen, to just 12 years later, hovering in a helicopter above that very same building.
That's incredible.
And he looks down and thinks, what a difference a decade can make. But what's really amazing is how he framed his past failures, his frustrations, not as setbacks, but as like the foundation, the bedrock for the new understandings that created the life he has now. It's just such a powerful testament to transformation.
It really is a great starting point.
So with that journey in mind, let's really get into the foundational idea here, this radical concept that it's not your conditions, not your circumstances, but your decisions that truly determine your destiny. Benjamin Disraeli put it so well. Man is not the creature of circumstances. Circumstances are the creatures of men.
It's a profound thought, isn't it? And what's fascinating is how even, seemingly small decisions, or sometimes, and this is crucial, the lack of a decision, can have these massive consequences. The author shares a great example. A simple decision, just deciding to do a seminar in Denver. That led directly to him meeting his wife, Becky, who he describes as, one of life's greatest gifts. It wasn't some huge, complex plan, just one decision that dominoed into something incredibly meaningful.
It's amazing how those moments cascade. And another really powerful example from the material. His company faced this huge financial crisis.
Right, I remember reading that.
A $250,000 misappropriation, like $758,000 in debt. Huge numbers.
Yeah, daunting.
Everyone around him was saying, declare bankruptcy. Just cut your losses.
The easy way out, maybe?
Maybe. But he made this deeply committed decision. He was going to find a way, anyway, to turn it around.
And he did.
And he did. Transformed it into what he called one of the greater successes of his career. It just shows the sheer, almost unbelievable power of a single committed decision.
It's not just deciding, it's the commitment level.
Exactly. That's the key takeaway there.
So if we connect that commitment, those decisions, to the bigger picture, the sources point to this singular, compelling force that drives, well, all human behavior.
Which is?
The avoidance of pain and the desire to gain pleasure. Simple as that, but incredibly powerful.
The pain-pleasure principle.
Exactly. This isn't just some abstract theory. It's described as a deep-seated neurological thing. It impacts everything we do, often without us even noticing. Our brains are constantly, calculating.
Obviously.
Often subconsciously, calculating what brings pleasure, what helps avoid pain or discomfort.
Right. And the author has this really vivid personal story about that, doesn't he? With his mother and the beer.
Oh, yeah. That one's memorable.
She wanted to make sure he'd never drink beer, so she made him drink it until he literally got sick.
Oof. Intense.
Intense is right. It created such a strong, gut-level neuroassociation, this powerful physical link.
Massive pain with beer.
Exactly. Massive pain. And he says he hasn't had a sip since. It just shows how fast and how powerfully we can be conditioned when intense pain is linked to something.
Which raises a really important question, right? How can we consciously use this principle for positive change? Like the beer story, parents often try to teach kids to link, massive pain to things like drugs, but not just by talking about it. Through impactful, maybe emotional experiences, it's about creating those powerful internal links that go beyond just logic, because our nervous system responds to felt pain or pleasure.
And you see this principle everywhere in the real world, don't you? Often used by marketers, politicians.
Absolutely.
Think about Pavlov's dogs, right? Conditioned to salivate at a bell. Classic example. Or how Pepsi used Michael Jackson back in the day, linking all that excitement and joy.
With their soda,
Or Levi's 501 commercials. They were legendary for linking, sex appeal and desirability with just a pair of jeans. often with almost zero logical connection.
It's all about creating that feeling, that association.
Exactly. And even negative political ads use this heavily because, as the sources point out, people do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure.
That's a fundamental driver. It really is.
So pain and pleasure drive us. Decisions shape us. Where do we go from there to actually take control?
Well, to really control our lives, to direct our destiny, the sources say we need to understand what they call our master system of decision-making.
Okay, the master system.
Yeah, it's like our internal operating system.
Yeah.
And it has 5 core elements that are constantly shaping our reality, our beliefs, our values, our rules, our references, and our emotional state.
Beliefs, values, rules, references, state.
Got it. And within that system, there are these really powerful tools we can consciously use. The questions we ask, the vocabulary we use, and the metaphors we live by.
Interesting.
Understanding this whole system. It's like getting the operating manual for your own mind.
Okay, let's dive into beliefs first then. These aren't just casual thoughts, right?
Yeah.
The sources define them as basically unquestioned commands to our nervous system.
Pretty strong definition.
Yeah, and they can be incredibly empowering or, deeply disempowering. And this next point about beliefs, I found this absolutely fascinating. The QWERTY keyboard.
Ah, yes. The keyboard layout.
It was actually designed to slow typists down because early typewriters used to jam if you went too fast.
Right, to prevent mechanical issues.
Exactly. Yet for 120 years, it was widely believed to be the standard for speed, just because of one single typing contest way back when.
Incredible.
The insight here is how deep these beliefs run, how often we don't even examine them, and how even a belief designed for inefficiency can shape a whole industry for over a century. It makes you wonder, what other limiting beliefs are we operating under without even questioning them?
That's a great question. And what's equally fascinating is the flip side. The incredible positive power of empowering beliefs.
Like Marva Collins.
Exactly, Marva Collins. A teacher in a Chicago ghetto, as the source puts it. Her second graders, they'd been labeled with dyslexia, other learning issues.
Yeah, written off by the system, basically.
Pretty much. But because of her fervent belief, her absolute conviction in the uniqueness of each child, their spirit, their ability to learn anything, her students didn't just cope with advanced material, they thrived on it. They achieved things nobody thought possible. Her belief literally transformed their capabilities. It shows how deeply a teacher's expectations, fueled by belief, can shape outcomes.
Amazing. So beliefs are foundational. Then what about values?
Values build on that. They're our personal compass, right?
Like true north.
Kind of. They're the deep principles, maybe love, health, freedom, security, whatever's most important to you. They form this personal hierarchy of what matters most in life.
And what happens when your actions, your life, doesn't line up with those core values?
Well, that's where problems arise. The sources tell the story of Jolie. She got this job at Disneyland, which seemed like an unbelievable goal achieved. Outward success.
Sounds great.
But she felt frustrated, unfulfilled. Why? Because the job deeply conflicted with her top values. Things like love, health, and vibrancy, growth, accomplishment.
So the success felt hollow.
Exactly. She needed clarity on her values to make a decision that was truly congruent, that would bring her genuine happiness. It shows that success without alignment, it can still feel like failure.
Okay, so we have beliefs, values, then rules. What are rules in this context?
Rules are basically the beliefs about our values. They're the specific conditions we set, often unconsciously, about what must happen for us to feel like our values are being met.
Ah, okay. So they're like the gatekeepers to feeling good.
Precisely. And they absolutely dictate our emotional responses. If your rule for happiness is everything must go perfectly according to plan, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, right?
That sounds like a tough rule to live by.
Yeah, there's a great illustration in the material about people watching an eclipse.
Oh, right.
Some people reacted with anger, others disappointment, others pure joy. Why the difference? They're internal rules for happiness.
How so?
Well, one guy spent $4,000 to see it. Clouds rolled in. He was furious because his rule was basically perfect visibility equals enjoyment. But then you had a CEO who shared his rule for success. It was simply, every day above ground is a great day.
Wow, that's a different perspective.
Totally changes how you experience things, doesn't it? It just highlights how much our own internal agreements, our rules, dictate our emotional landscape.
So we've got beliefs, values, rules.
Yeah.
You also mentioned references earlier as part of the master system. What are those?
References are essentially everything you've ever experienced, learned, seen, heard, All the memories, the information you've gathered throughout your life.
So like our personal database.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the raw data your brain uses to build its map of reality, to decide what's possible, what's not, and to form those beliefs and rules we just talked about.
Okay.
And if your references are limited or maybe consistently negative, your whole perception of what you can do, what's achievable, can feel incredibly constrained.
Right. You only know what you know.
But here's the empowering part, the real insight. You can consciously expand your references by seeking out new experiences, new information, different perspectives, meeting new people. You actively gather more data points. And by doing that, you can change your beliefs and fundamentally expand your sense of what's possible. The author really emphasizes this idea of constantly expanding your references.
That makes sense. Feed your brain new data to get new outcomes.
Yeah.
Okay, what about identity? You said that's the deepest level.
Identity is the absolute core. It's who you believe you are. And changing your identity, as the source makes really clear, creates the most profound, the most lasting change. Because everything else, your beliefs, values, behaviors, flows from who you think you are.
Can you give an example?
A really powerful literary one is Jean Valjean from Les Miserables.
Yes.
His identity shifted dramatically, didn't it? From a bitter, desperate prisoner to an honest, compassionate man. What caused it? A single act of radical compassion shown to him by the bishop.
Right, the candlesticks.
Exactly. That moment shifted his entire self-concept. And his behaviors, his whole destiny changed completely because his identity changed. And on a darker note, the sources mention how Chinese communists during the Korean War managed to subtly shift the identities of American POWs.
How did they do that?
By getting them to make small, seemingly insignificant commitments or statements. Little things first. But those small acts started to change how the prisoners saw themselves, making them more susceptible to bigger shifts later. It shows just how powerful and sometimes fragile our sense of self can be.
That's quite chilling, actually. But it underlines the power of identity. Okay, moving on. Physiological state. How does our body fit into this master system?
It's absolutely crucial. Your body directly impacts your emotions. The sources state it very clearly. Stagnation comes from lack of movement.
So move your body, change your mood.
Pretty much. Your physiology isn't just a result of how you feel. It's a powerful lever that creates how you feel. It influences your energy, your neurochemistry, everything.
So you're saying we can consciously change our state by changing our body?
Instantly. This is incredibly empowering. You can literally change your emotional state right now by changing your physiology. Stand taller. Take a few deep, expansive breaths instead of shallow ones. Use more powerful gestures. Even forcing yourself to smile or laugh can trigger a shift.
Really? Just faking it till you make it physically?
To an extent, yes. Because the feedback loop works both ways. Conversely, if you repeatedly use your body in weak ways, if you're always slouching, shoulders slumped, head down, you'll naturally feel weaker, less capable.
So change your posture, change your state. It's a direct pathway.
It's immediate. A very practical tool.
Okay, next tool. Questions. How do questions fit in?
The questions we habitually ask ourselves are incredibly powerful. Why? Because they determine our focus.
What we pay attention to.
Exactly. And whatever you focus on determines what resources, what ideas, what solutions become available to you. Ask a disempowering question like, why does this always happen to me? Your brain will find answers to confirm that.
Right, it looks for evidence.
But ask a different, better question, like, what can I learn from this? Or how can I turn this around? You literally get different answers. You access different parts of your brain, different resources. You create a different reality just by changing the question.
Can you give an example of that power?
There's a really powerful story about Bo Jackson, the athlete.
Okay.
When he was 15, he got punched by a bully. He was consumed by rage, went home, got a gun, and seriously intended to kill the kid.
Wow. That's intense.
Very, but standing there, about to act, something shifted. He ended up shooting a tree instead. What was the pivot point? He asked himself a question. What will this cost me if I don't change?
Looking at the consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The potential pain prison, a ruined life, suddenly became far more real and far outweighed the short-term pleasure or satisfaction of revenge. That single question changed his destiny. It shows how the quality of our questions dictates the quality of our lives.
And this isn't just for life or death moments, right?
Yeah.
It's a daily practice.
Absolutely. The author shares his own morning questions and evening questions.
Like what?
Things like, what am I truly happy about right now? Or what am I grateful for? Simple questions. But by consciously asking these every day, you deliberately direct your focus. You choose what to pay attention to, shape your emotional state for the day, and reinforce positive patterns.
Powerful stuff. Okay, next tool, transformational vocabulary. How can words transform things?
The words we use to describe our experiences, they aren't just neutral labels. They can literally, almost magically, transform our emotional state. It's not just semantics. The words we choose have a direct line to our nervous system.
How does that work in practice?
Well, the author shares his own experience. He noticed that when he felt frustrated, if he consciously changed the word he used internally,
Instead of
labeling it angry or furious, he'd deliberately downgrade it. He'd say he felt a bit annoyed or maybe a little bit concerned.
And that made a difference.
Instantly. He found it immediately lowered the emotional intensity. It changed how he felt and, consequently, how he interacted with others. It shows how a subtle shift in vocabulary can create a massive shift in your internal and even external experience. It's about consciously choosing words that empower you rather than diminish you. It reminds me of those classic, sometimes funny translation blunders in advertising.
Oh, yeah.
Like Pepsi's slogan accidentally translating to "Bring your ancestors back from the grave" in Chinese.
Oh, dear. Not quite the intended message.
Not quite. Or the Chevrolet Nova in Spanish-speaking countries where Nova literally means it doesn't go.
Not great for a car.
Definitely not. Those examples show, maybe in an exaggerated way, how words impact beliefs and potential actions. But the principle applies personally. We can consciously use our vocabulary to reshape our reality and how we perceive things.
Okay, final tool in the master system. Life metaphors. What are those?
Life metaphors are these deep-seated analogies, often totally unconscious, that we use to understand life itself. Like thinking life is a battle, or feeling like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders.
Okay. The underlying stories we tell ourselves about life.
Exactly. And they subtly but powerfully shape our entire experience. They predetermine our responses, our expectations, how we navigate everything.
Can a metaphor really have that much impact?
Absolutely. Think about it on a massive scale. The Berlin Wall coming down in 1989.
Huge historical moment.
Of course. But it wasn't just a physical barrier falling. Its destruction instantly provided a powerful new metaphor for millions. It visually, emotionally signaled the end of the Iron Curtain era.
Right, a symbol of division disappearing.
Exactly. And that shift in metaphor changed the beliefs, the hopes, the perceptions of countless people almost overnight. That's the power of a collective metaphor shifting reality.
So it's all about how you frame things, really.
It really is. Even the author mentions changing his own label. He used to be called a guru, but now calls himself a success coach.
Why the change?
Because coach conveys something more empowering, more collaborative, more approachable. It changes the perceived identity and the relationship dynamic. A subtle shift in metaphor, but it changes the frame.
Fascinating. Okay, so that's the master system. Beliefs, values, rules, references, state, questions, vocabulary, metaphors. Now, how do we use all this to make lasting change?
That brings us to the blueprint the sources offer. Neuroassociative conditioning, or NAC.
NAC, okay.
This isn't just about willpower or gritting your teeth. It's about leveraging your brain's natural ability to rewire itself, to consciously form new associations.
How does it work? What are the steps?
There are core steps. First, you have to get leverage. This means associating massive, unbearable pain with the old pattern, the thing you want to change, and at the same time associating intense, incredible pleasure with the new desired behavior or feeling.
Pain away, pleasure towards. Got it.
Second, you have to interrupt the old pattern, break it somehow, scramble the signal so it can't run automatically anymore.
Okay, disrupt the habit loop.
Exactly. Third, create a new, empowering alternative. What will you do instead? What feeling will you choose? And fourth, you have to condition that new alternative through repetition, ideally with emotional intensity. Practice it, rehearse it mentally and physically until it becomes the new automatic pathway, until it's just part of who you are, effortless.
Can you give a concrete example of someone using NAC?
Yeah. The Fran Tarkenton story is a great one. The former NFL quarterback, he had a lifelong chewing tobacco addiction.
Right, a tough habit to break.
Very tough. He consciously used NAC. He vividly pictured getting mouth cancer, feeling the pain, the disfigurement, creating that intense visceral pain linked to the old habit. That was the leverage.
Okay, associating pain.
Then, simultaneously, he associated immense pleasure, pride, and control with not chewing, with being healthy, being in charge of his body. That was the new desired alternative linked to pleasure.
So pain away from the old, pleasure towards the new.
Exactly. That conscious use of leverage, interrupting the old pattern and conditioning the new one, helped him break a deeply ingrained, long-standing habit. It shows these principles can work even for really tough challenges.
That's a really practical illustration. So, okay, we're changing ourselves using these tools, but what's the bigger picture? Where does this personal change lead?
Well, the journey doesn't stop with just fixing problems, right? The sources show it connects to broader life fulfillment. And a big part of that starts with setting truly inspiring goals.
Goals that pull you forward.
Precisely. There's the story of a young O.J. Simpson. As a boy, he watched Jim Brown play football and declared right then that he would break Brown's records. That vision, that compelling future, as the source calls it.
It drove him.
It drove him relentlessly. It illustrates how having a clear, vivid, exciting goal can literally pull you through obstacles towards achievement.
And achieving those goals often requires persistence.
Absolutely critical. Peter Guber, the film producer, he struggled for 9 years to get Batman made.
9 years, that's dedication.
Facing constant rejection, skepticism, but he never gave up. He adapted, he adjusted, but he held on to the vision.
Wow.
He also famously insisted that Rain Man would win the Oscar for Best Picture against all odds at the time. And he was right. The sources really highlight that true champions have this unbelievable level of persistence, a stubborn refusal to quit when things get tough, because they're locked onto that compelling future.
So we achieve our goals through persistence. But is that the ultimate aim?
According to the sources, the deepest, most lasting fulfillment comes from something more. Contribution.
Giving back.
Exactly. Giving to others, adding value beyond yourself. It provides this profound sense of self-esteem, connection, purpose. It answers that deeper need we all have.
And it doesn't have to be huge, world-changing things, right?
Not at all. Simple things count. Visiting seniors in a nursing home, talking to prisoners, just offering your time and compassion. Or, on a slightly larger scale, the author points out how our choices impact others and the environment, like reducing meat consumption. He notes that 1 acre can feed 20 times as many people if they eat a vegetarian diet.
Interesting point.
It's about finding ways, big or small, that resonate with you to contribute to add value.
Okay, contribution is key. What about practical things like finances?
Financial mastery is definitely another pillar discussed, and it's directly linked back to our decisions and our mindset.
How so?
True wealth, the material suggests, isn't just about hoarding money. It often comes from consistently adding value to other people's lives. Prosperity flows from contribution.
Okay.
And it emphasizes consistent saving and investing, not just as good habits, but because of the power of the compounding effect.
Compound interest. Einstein supposedly called it the 8th wonder of the world.
Right. It's this profound principle where small, consistent actions, like the metaphor of folding a napkin 50 times to reach the sun.
Which is mathematically mind-blowing.
Exactly. Those small, consistent inputs lead to extraordinary outcomes over time. This also requires shifting away from a limiting scarcity mindset.
Believing there's not enough to go around.
Yeah. The material argues that true resources are often limited more by our technology, our creativity, our imagination, than by some absolute natural limit. It's about fostering an abundance mindset.
Okay, makes sense. We also touched on emotional state earlier, but managing emotions seems crucial throughout this whole process.
Absolutely central. It's not just about what you do, but how you feel while doing it. The sources have a really empowering way of framing emotions.
How's that?
Instead of labeling certain emotions as negative and trying to suppress them.
Which never really works anyway.
Right. Instead, view them as action signals.
Action signals.
Yeah, like a message from your internal guidance system. Fear might be signaling you need to prepare. Anger might mean a rule or standard has been violated. Disappointment might mean you need to adjust your expectations. They're not enemies. They're guides, prompting you to change or adapt.
So listen to the message instead of fighting the feeling.
Exactly. Learn to interpret them. And you can also consciously cultivate the emotions you want to experience more often. The sources talk about the 10 emotions of power.
Like what?
Things like love and warmth, appreciation and gratitude, curiosity, excitement and passion, determination, flexibility, confidence, cheerfulness, vitality, and that sense of contribution we talked about.
So you can intentionally practice feeling these.
Yes. It's about consciously choosing and cultivating your emotional landscape, not just being reactive.
This all sounds like it requires real daily commitment.
It does, and that leads to the idea of having a personal code of conduct.
A code of conduct, like rules for yourself.
Sort of. It's a daily commitment to consciously choose positive states, regardless of what's happening externally. It's about proactively deciding, as one quote puts it, to wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give every living creature you meet a smile.
Actively embody the state you want.
Exactly. You actively embody the states you wish to feel and project, and in doing so, you influence not only your own internal experience, but also the world around you. It's taking conscious control.
So, as we start to wrap up this really insightful exploration, the central message seems crystal clear, doesn't it?
I think so.
Your life is profoundly shaped by your decisions. Not your circumstances, but your decisions. And the amazing thing is you possess this incredible power to consciously change the very things that drive those decisions.
Your beliefs, your values,
your identity, the references you gather, the questions you ask, the words you use, the metaphors you live by.
Even your physical state and daily habits. You can consciously shape all of it.
It's incredibly empowering.
And remember what this source material really stresses. Knowing is not enough. You must do what you know.
Right. Action is key.
Yeah, actively applying these ideas, these distinctions, experimenting with them in your own life, that's where the real transformation happens. It's about taking action on these insights.
Definitely. So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. What if your worst days, those times you felt were setbacks, what if they've actually been your best days in disguise?
Interesting idea.
What if they were sculpting you, preparing you for an ultimate destiny you can't even imagine yet? We challenge you to explore that possibility and maybe, just maybe, actively seek out some new references, new experiences that will expand your life.
Yeah, push the boundaries a little.
Ask yourself, what's one thing you could do today, maybe even right after listening, that you've never done before? Not for any grand reason, but simply to expand your sense of what's possible and maybe discover a new part of yourself in the process.